I'm Arnold Ewings, just a nobody who loves this town. My family has called this place home since Cleveland, and I'm not talking the character on the Family Guy. I say this not because I want to boast or establish any sort of ownership. I share this because what I'm about to propose may get people to say, go back to where you came from, or you can't do that in my town. It's happened before. Well over 30 years ago, a known and established business here in town wanted to expand. It was hotly contested, and in one particular meeting, a person stood up and proclaimed that they didn't want these outsiders ruining their town. The most ardent critic of this expansion stood up and said, "Hey lady, they were born here. Me too. And I have nothing but the best interest for this town." Before I share my idea, I thought I'd provide a little history lesson. Did you know that Colchester was one of the most populated towns in Connecticut at one time? However, by 1894, the hustle and bustle of Colchester came to a sudden end. U.S. Rubber Trust, the owner of Colchester Rubber Mill, the former Hayward Rubber Company, moved its operations to Ohio. This seriously affected over 600 families that depended on this mill. An exodus happened, to say the least. The 1890 census shows the population around 3,000. The next census, however, not quite 2,000. Farms were abandoned and some mill-dependent businesses closed. It just didn't look good for Colchester. Thankfully, within a few decades and a couple wise moves, Colchester bounced back as a resort town, but that faded a few decades later. Another opportunity emerged following World War II, when the multitudes of babies being born moved into Levittown-style homes in optimistically named neighborhoods. And so we become a bedroom community. We work out of town in the day and recreate and sleep in it at night. Colchester has depended on housing income for way too long. Yes, there is industrial, commercial, and retail properties that help offset costs. But if I read a 2013 study correctly, well over 80% of the grand list, that's 80% of the grand list, was residential. More needs to be done. A single source dependency did not work for Colchester in 1894, and it isn't working for Colchester now. You have to spend money to make money. I hope what I'm about to propose is pretty smart. I do have a disclaimer. I am just a teacher, not an architect or financial guy. And while I study political science, I do my best to stay apolitical. My passion for this town is to make sure the next generations, that of my sons and grandsons and so forth, are set and want to stay. My plan is this: to centralize public works. You are wondering, what the heck does public works have to do with revitalizing the town? It's simple. You renovate and build additions to existing structures at the landfill, consolidating the public works department in one spot. This opens up the door to renovate current town garage for a community center. The community center would be available for indoor basketball, small gym, classrooms, room rentals, swimming pool, because you could convert the salt shed or build a inexpensive Morton building. The community center becomes main entrance for Norm Kaplan Park. Norm Kaplan was instrumental in building a soccer program here in Colchester, and without that soccer program, I do believe that Parks and Recs would not look the way it does today. You would completely renovate the facility with a larger parking area near the football field, a parking area over to the right where most of the trucks park now, and you would build a road from the cross of Upton Road with a traffic light that would go directly into the park. The rationale: Norm Kaplan Community Park would be something for everyone. And here's the great advantage: we already own the properties. As more utilized Park and Rec, Colchester's first road built in the 1700s will not be able to handle the amount of traffic in a residential area. Moving it puts it into a commercial zone. Cost now? I am no expert, but I would guess maybe $8 million for both renovations, most of it earmarked towards the Norm Kaplan Community Park entrance and renovations for those buildings. But of course, it would also be earmarked for renovating current structures at the landfill for the new Public Works Department. I would guess also it would be $2 million for road improvements to connect Old Hartford Road to the park. There is an existing road there. It would just need to be significantly improved. Costs later, if we waited, I'm just going to say that the pool at Bacon Academy when I was going there would have been well paid for by now. Just saying. Obvious cons. So there is a distance from the center of town. However, the kids already go to the ballpark. Then there's always that argument of the long-term maintenance, especially for a pool. Comparable local districts operate membership-based facilities for in and out of town residents. If we had a state-of-the-art facility with swimming and indoor basketball, you could operate additional clubs that would generate an income. Plus, I would guess we could charge $600 per year per family to use pool and fitness areas for memberships for in-town, and $800 per year per family for non-residents. That is where we would generate a decent amount of income. Think of the people from East Hampton, Marlboro, Hebron, and even Salem coming up to use the pool. I guess you could sublet a daycare center. Now for the long-term revenue. One of the earliest things that needs to be done is to lobby the state for a complete exchange at exit 17 and make a T intersection at Mill Hill Road and Old Hartford Road. Easy access attracts more commercial and industrial interests. Build up the industrial park. That then opens up the door to retail and restaurants because they'll be willing to take a chance, as there would be more people in the area that would need food and other items. I believe the buildup of the former Union Mill Village would help the grand list over time. Of course, you'd have to offer up incentives just to get the people to come. And more commercial and industrial properties do not significantly impact costly services such as education. Reduce traffic on Old Hebron Road by moving the main entrance to the park to Old Hartford Road. In the big picture, we would be back to a destination town. People would want to come to our parks and enjoy them for all that is offered, and then maybe grab a bite to eat or buy something before they leave. So that's it. I know some naysayers are going to go, well, where do you get the money from this? Hey, and I'm going to say, I don't know. Well, we'll figure it out. I also know that some naysayers are going to say, well, you were against the senior center. And I said, yes, I was, not because I'm against the senior center, but because I thought that we could get more for what we were spending. I do appreciate your time today. And if you have any questions, drop a comment. Just be nice, Colchester. Thank you.